My name is Matisse and I am a sophomore. I am a early childhood education major with teaching students with disabilities and a concentration in music. I've always had an iffy relationship with school, and it's gotten a little bit better, but I still have a hard time managing work, just because sometimes it does feel like it's a lot, especially since now being at college, teachers communicate less with each other, whereas before with my schools, it would be that the teachers always communicate with each other about the amount of work that they're giving. Being able to fully comprehend what teachers are exactly asking of me, because sometimes they might give too vague of a description of what they want, and then I'll do what I think they want, and sometimes it'll be right and sometimes it'll be wrong.
ADHD is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, but then you have to say which type, because there's predominantly an attentive type, predominantly hyperactive impulsive type, or combined. Some research will tell you that there's no such thing as hyperactive impulsive type, because if you're hyperactive and impulsive, obviously it's going to interfere with attention.
My learning disability, ADHD, makes it a lot harder for me to comprehend things, what the teachers are asking me to do. In high school, my description of essays would be to the point, this is what we want you to do, whereas now it's oh, write about gender, but not specifically what about. So it's I'll do what I believe the teacher is asking, but then sometimes I'll get points off because I might have missed out one little hint that she'll do, and also makes it a lot harder with my time management and understanding when I should do certain assignments. I've been doing essays here maybe 3 hours before they're due, whereas I should be doing them a little bit each day. I have really bad time management. Well, my roommate Lauren, she will push me to do assignments when I don't really want to.
I'm Lauren, and Matisse is my roommate, one of my best friends, and also a sorority sister. She can sometimes fall behind, but she definitely makes herself catch up. But every once in a while, everything just, as things in life happen, it just kind of snowballs, and you're wait, where am I right now? So she'll be stressing and doing homework until 2 a.m. I'm you got this, I'll help if I can, but I don't know if I know math or music.
Homework can be such a bear to these kids. It's you know how you get it, very typical homework is, okay, here are 20 math problems. And most people will look at it yeah, all right, and they just get it done. For these kids, it's looking at something, I'm going to be here for 2 hours. And it just becomes such a mountain that they can't even get started on it until, as most people say, the gun is to the head, until it's that last minute that you have to get it done now. And even then, they often can't get it done. And even if they do get it done, it's nowhere near their best work, because there was no way for them to check it, or they didn't even think to check it, is also a common occurrence. So it really interferes in all areas.
It makes it so I can see stuff from a different perspective, and a lot of times teachers like my answers because I do see things from different perspectives, and it makes it easier for me to be able to verbalize. So speaking wise, it does make college easier, but writing wise and academic wise, sometimes it does make it a little harder because my comprehension isn't fully up to par as what other college students are. And sometimes I feel teachers expect more from me, even when they do see that I have the accommodations or so like that, or they'll just choose to ignore them completely and not give me that little bit of extra help I need just so I'm on par with other students. This is where we sign up for our classes.
Oh, where's your name?
I'm here. This is an independent study. Ensembles I don't have to do. Yeah, that makes sense. And here for choir. And now you play percussion The Office of Accessibility doesn't really give as many accommodations as I got in high school. So it's I got yes, extra time, but I also got modified assignments. So I get a little bit less of a workload than everyone else, but I would still get the same value of work.
I know that she was always given like the single way to do something, like a math problem, let's say. So there was only one way that she was given in the curriculum, and she had to teach herself another way that worked better for her. And they didn't offer her that. She was still given just the one way to do things instead of them actually accommodating to everyone and saying, hey, no, if this way of maybe reading a problem or reading a book doesn't work for you, let's try this way. She's like, no, I basically had to teach myself everything after a certain point.
Yeah, some teachers make it a lot easier, and like some make it 1,000 times more difficult. It affects me very strongly today because I have to remember to take a medication every single morning or before my class, just so I'm able to get close to what other students are able to do.
Different treatments, and this is where you're going to get into the real argument on what needs to be done. What the research really shows is the best treatment is sort of a combination of treatment. Medication, if it's really interfering. Does it have to be medication? No, medication's always my last choice. There are times I'll make it the first choice, and when I make it the first choice, it's because the child is getting in their own way. It's interfering with their learning.
I help her figure out if she could take like her 3-hour medication or if she should take her 8-hour, depending on what she's doing for the day and what she needs to focus on.
I would have to eat something just so I can take like this small little pill that just makes it so I can focus for like 3 hours if I'm lucky. One thing I want to tell people about living with ADHD is that it's not only a hyperactive disorder, but it's also a attention disorder. The first two parts of ADHD is attention deficit, which basically means I sometimes am lacking the capability of paying attention. So I can have a full conversation with you and it might seem like I'm fully engaged, but my brain could be somewhere else. I could be thinking about like these 30 assignments I have to do, or I could be thinking about a YouTube video that I just saw that was funny and just rewatching it in my head.
Everything's like organized chaos in a way, which is a lot of fun to see, and just like to watch how her brain works, how she, if she's eating or doing homework, there has to be another, like right now, I think she's watching a show from like 5 years ago that ended on Disney XD, just like in the background. So there's the audio and visual stimulation as she's doing her homework. So it's just cool to see like the different ways that she works and stuff.
Yes, I do have those days where I am more hyperactive and I might seem like I have way too much energy for the average person, especially early in the morning or really late at night, which are weirdly the times that I'm wide awake. But it's like, I don't want people to think that, oh, she's not paying attention, so she's all ditzy. Like, that's the main reason why it's harder for girls to get diagnosed with this, is because it's like, oh, they're just a girl, so they're just chatty, they're just like in their own little like bubbly world, whatever. Whereas for me, I had a teacher say that to me, and that's what pushed back my diagnosis until like midway through first grade, with me almost failing the class completely.
So to give the diagnosis, one, you have to first prove that there is an attention problem, that something's interfering, because the rating scales, which is actually what most doctors rely on, they rely on the, Connors rating, Vanderbilt, whatever, saying, here are the behaviors, yes or no, does your kid show this? The problem with those scales is they're wonderful at picking up, is there a problem? Lousy at specifying the problem, because the behaviors you see with ADHD go with pretty much every learning and processing issue. So first thing you want to see is, yes, there is some sort of attention problem, because we have all different types of attention. Once you prove that, you also rule out everything else that could be what's causing the problem. So there's a lot to an evaluation. It's not a short evaluation. With kids, it's usually 6 to 7 hours.
So it's like, I want people to keep in mind that it doesn't only affect boys. It doesn't only affect little kids. I've had friends who got diagnosed in high school.
The inattentive type, I'm usually not going to see them till middle school. And the brighter the kid, the later the problem. So I've had kids who have made it actually to college because they've had so much scaffolding, where parents have provided coaches, where the parents act as a coach, checking the kid's online portal. Hey, did you get this done? Did you get this done? And keeping them structured, that they managed to hold it together well enough until college, where you get to college and you get that first week of college, the professor gives you the syllabus. And now you look at it. I've got 4 papers, 3 exams, and you figure, I got time, I got 4 months. No, you don't. And that's a problem. You don't have time. And the kids wait, and often they wait till Thanksgiving. So what happens is they come back from Thanksgiving, and now suddenly a bunch of exams, a bunch of papers, and now they fail. Now they're on probation. So it's not unusual that January, most of my calls are from college kids who need to get tested so they don't get kicked out of college. The hyperactive kids, we got that young. We know those kids young. They're often kicked out of preschools and day camps. And I had one kid who I still remember. The mother's like, oh no, not my child. Kid was already kicked out of 3 camps and 2 preschools. Now I'm watching the kid in my office. Between every item, I'm asking him just basic questions about things he should have learned in school. He's jumping up against the wall to see how far he could leap against the wall. He was trying to just touch higher and higher on the wall. This kid's like 6 years old, slamming himself into the wall. I open the door quietly as he's working so mom can watch. That's absolutely normal for him. That's great. No, that's not the typical, and this is why it's disruptive in class, because between every item, the kid had to get up and do something. The biggest misconception, I get this from parents all the time, my child's not hyperactive, they can't be ADHD. Yeah, they can.
And I've seen my students at the preschool I work at struggle with behavioral and attention issues because of some sort of learning disability that their parents might not think they have or might not want to acknowledge them having. So it's like, I feel like I get looked down upon because of it, but it's like, this is a strength that I have learned to accept. Once I've hit 18, I figure out that I should accept it. This is a strength that I have.
It definitely makes her who she is. Because if she didn't have it, she wouldn't be her fun, spunky self, I don't think. Because I like watching her brain it's on a bunch of different things all the time, and I love it.
And it's like, I can just radiate this level of energy that people want around them.
I like that she's funny without trying to be funny. It's I hate it. I hate it because I wish I could be that way. But it's so much fun to she'll just kind of say things or do things or just randomly dance in our room because there's a song in her head. So she's like, hey, what's up?
So Matisse, she's very mean. She's very rude, especially to people that wear Heisenberg shirts and bandanas and glasses. I don't know why. I've tried to ask why. I've tried to see what's going on.
At college, I got a much nicer support group of people, and I'm involved in way too many clubs.
I don't know how she does it. The two of us were in our sorority Nu Theta Chi together.
I'm the secretary of Chance at Performing.
She's on the e-board of Hillel, which is the Jewish group on campus.
I am a second-year member of Kane Dance Theater.
I'm not doing the floor stuff.
I definitely have been using dance, especially after my medication is worn off. I'll have all this pent up energy from throughout the day, and it'll be a way for me to get all this energy, and it'll actually help me focus because doing that releases dopamine, and that's the one thing I lack because of my ADHD. So it helps me calm down, and I can dance for 3 hours, still be pretty awake. I'll eat dinner, and then I'll just do homework and just do that for a while. And then also the Hillel has been a great thing because Judaism has always been a big part of my life, so being able to go back to that and that support group as well, they are the one place I feel truly calm even off my medication, so they really help a lot. My dad, Mark, he always will call me and be hey, are you doing homework, or are you checking to make sure your grades are good? Because he was the one all throughout high school, because he's the only one in my household who doesn't have a learning disability, because me, my mom, and my brother all have this at varying degrees. So he was the one that was always checking our Genesis to make sure that we were turning in assignments, or he was wanting constant communication with our teachers to make sure that we are getting the help that we need. He was one of my biggest support systems, along with my mom, who Tracy, who also has like the same disability as me, and she actually went back to college before I started, and she's like, okay, this is what I'm realizing I'm having an issue with being back at college with ADHD, and here are some of the things that you could probably ask for to get that help.
We both have the Teachers of Students with Disabilities endorsement, so we can become special education teachers right away. And I know that that's what she wants to do, or at least give, if she does general education, give students like her the opportunities that she didn't have, and like help them along the way. Since she has it and understands, she can help them more.
In 10 years, I see myself hopefully working with either pre-K or kindergarten aged kids, because I just love children that age, and hopefully with special ed, because I would love to like give them the experiences that I didn't get to get because I wasn't diagnosed until first grade. So I wanted to like help give them the stepping stones to be a better version of themselves.